Here are two free mints that I'm absolutely pumped for and that have huge potential. Also a cool whitelist giveaway, so make sure you stick around. Up first is Terrapin Genesis. Now, the upcoming mint is Gen 2 of the Genesis collection of Terrapin Genesis. Now, Terrapin Genesis is a 333 item collection, and essentially it's got two different facets. It's got humans and it's got turtles. Now, this free mint came out in June. Now, this was crazy when it was kind of running out. It was essentially a closed Discord, and I was essentially in there from day one before they kind of knew what it was going to become. I was in there, hung around, kind of stuck around, saw what the founders were doing. Now, the founders are Alan and Dom. Now, what they did is they curated everyone coming through and into the community, and what this did is on initial launch, it ran up to 2 ETH. There were some crazy sales that went off, and Alan and Dom were adamant in building up a project and something that was for free longer term. So with Terrapin Genesis, it kind of had some great traction. It had pulled off and cooled off a little bit and kind of got around those sort of 0.4 mark, and now it's been running up with anticipation of their second drop. Now, spoiler alert, the second drop isn't going to be a public sale. It's going to be a generation that can only be used by the Genesis holders. So the Genesis holders can mint sort of 4 NFTs, 2 heroes and 2 villains. And then they will be able to then mint more of these characters later when it comes down to staking. Now look, here is a look at what the art is, and I think the art is really cool. It's very interesting. But what I think is very interesting about the project is the fact that they have cultivated a very strong following. The fact is, it's gone from like a point sort of 4 floor after hitting a 2 ETH floor. It's kind of fluctuated up and down. So the people that are in here now are the holders, and the fact it's run up to around a 1.5 ETH floor currently just shows you how kind of diamond hand this initial community is. Now, where I think the opportunity lies for someone else is that when the initial holders get this, and this comes because I am a Terrapin Genesis holder, is the fact that they will kind of get these 4 mints. What this means is it means that people will sort of offload some and try to actually take some profits. This means there may be an opportunity for someone on the secondary to actually kind of scoop it up when that initial dump kind of happens, because the holders actually are holding somewhat a very good floor in the kind of Genesis collection. And I think the Gen 2, after it kind of gets a little bit choppy, will actually kind of run out quite well. Now, when you actually jump into the Terrapin Discord, the chat is always flying. There's very good alpha, there's very good calls. It's a very cool tight community. It's one of the communities that I think someone new to the space would find a very good home in, and I'm a big fan of what sort of Dom and Alan have kind of created when it comes to the ethos and the vibe around what Terrapin Genesis is. Now look, when it comes down to the price prediction of what's happening, they've currently got a market capitalization of around 500 ETH. Now, with an additional 4,000 coming onto the market, this will kind of put them, like each of those new ones, at a 0.125 ETH. And that is at the current inflated sort of market cap, which means that we can kind of expect to see the prices at around that sort of 0.5 to 0.1 mark once things kind of cool off, settle down, and pull back. That's where I'm kind of seeing all of these things come through. Essentially, holders of Terrapin are going to kind of essentially get some free liquid that they will be able to kind of take some profits, which I think will then mean that the Genesis holders that kind of are actually holding are going to feel a little bit happier because they are able to take some profits and stay within it. So the reason that I wanted to kind of bring this up is I think that there is that play for those to make. I don't think it's a right price point now if you wanted to move in just to get the sort of the airdrops, because there will be a kind of, well, the sort of the free mints, because there will be a pullback afterwards. So please be mindful of that. Don't think that the floor price will stay at 1.5 after the kind of drop, because people will kind of sell off all of their holdings to kind of make a profit. That's usually what happens, so please be careful there. Now look, right now I'm going to do a giveaway for Friday Beers. Now this project has been getting some steam, getting some hype. They have been doing some great collabs, and their advisor is NFT Boy. He is absolutely insane, absolutely crazy. So what I want you to do is down in the comments below, can you please tell me what your favorite beer is? Also, can you add your Twitter account, so when I do go through and draw a winner, I actually know who to kind of DM. The winner will be drawn within 24 hours of this video going live, so make sure you drop a comment below. It'll be drawn and the winner will be pinned at the top. Anyway, into Project 2. Now, Project 2 is the Two Boys. Now, the Two Boys is a kind of free drop that has 0% royalties. It's a 4,500 supply drop, but there's going to be none held back by the team. 99%. The team are even kind of considering just putting themselves on the whitelist as well and doing no dev drop at all. Now, I think this is very interesting for a few reasons. When it comes to the two boys, they actually have raised some money before. They've raised a bunch of money and they've got some investors. You can see the investors that they have on the screen here. Now, two that I really want to point out are Zeneca. So you've got Zeneca, he's involved, and you've also got Sheldon Evans. Now, the reason that I think this is very cool is the fact that these guys have actually raised a bunch of money. They've got a 24-month runway for their project. So this free mint is about generating awareness. It is about getting people into the ecosystem, and I think they're using a free mint exactly. There's 0% royalties, which is kind of very timely with the drop of Blur, and also the fact that it's kind of like hit the zeitgeist when it comes down to royalties. So they're doing 0% royalties, and they're doing a free mint, and they're not taking anything. Now, the reason that they're doing this is to get people into what their giant ecosystem will be, which is Froopyland. Now, Froopyland, the best way to describe it is almost like the parent company is what's going to be doing all these drops. Now, the drop, the two boys, isn't going to essentially be the Genesis piece, but it's one experimentation of what they're actually doing in their grand scheme when it comes down to what their project is. Now, the best way to describe the project is it's going to assist people in monetizing and licensing their NFTs for derivatives, things like that. Now, this is a great kind of segue to their team. On their team, there is Fidgetal. Now, Fidgetal is an IP lawyer. Now, he's super active on Twitter, always on Spaces, always doing a whole bunch. So he knows all about IP law. He knows about everything. So he's kind of very well suited to it. You've then got Frank. Now, his background is in biz dev, and he's done a whole bunch when it comes down to raising money, especially in kind of crypto and Web3. So he is super kind of competent when it comes to actually the business development aspect, and that's why you've got a slew of these investors in the project. Now, another person, and he's a good friend of mine, and this is how I actually kind of came across the project super early before it even launched, is Cameron. Now, Cameron, he is a TikToker. He's got like 60-70k on TikTok. He's very active there. He's an Australian himself, and I just vibe with him. I love the dude, and he's very kind of switched on and well connected. He's got a wealth of knowledge and stories that he has, and I really think he's got some great potential as a co-founder moving forward. Now, when it comes to the team and what they're doing, it sounds a little bit intangible and it sounds a little bit confusing, but they're kind of doing it by design. They don't want to reveal absolutely everything that they're doing and exactly how they want to do it. But the idea is you've got all of these investors that they've got on board, all of these people that have spent their money, that are willing to kind of sort of bet on them as sort of our founders, and they're spending good money, and they've got a 24-month runway, which means that if you jump into this as a free mint, you kind of know that they're going to be executing for the next sort of 24 months. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to diamond hand in to kind of hold the kind of get some value out of the project with what they're actually doing. But what I think is very important is to notice that projects that have had a sort of backing or funding have actually done quite well. When it came to Goblin Town, it ran up, but it had another project behind it that kind of orchestrated it, which meant that Goblin Town had a whole bunch of runway. Digidaidaku, it had so much of a VC fundraise that's why it ran up to that 16, 17 ETH floor. Crazy. Even something like Sand Origin, a supply of 10,000, but they had a product that they're kind of rolling out anyway. And the idea is because they had that product, the free mint was just a way to generate attention and awareness of what their project is. Now, I think this is very important and it's very cool because it shows you that if you've got a team that has some money, that have some funds, that are just executing, they're using a free mint the way that it should be used. And a free mint is a way to kind of generate attention and build that initial core audience for the product that they're actually building. And I think that's very important and very crucial. Now, if you want to know how you can get whitelisted for the two boys, I think the easiest way possible is they're doing Twitter Spaces quite regularly. So jump over onto their Twitter link down below and jump in their Twitter Spaces, and they're giving away a lot of spots there for Twitter, and I think that's very crucial. They're also being very strategic with their collaboration. So if you are in any alpha groups, are in any projects, keep an eye out for it. Jump into it. I think this will kind of gain a lot of steam and a lot of momentum, and they're really kind of kicking off their kind of marketing push right now, and that's kind of of why I wanted to do the video, because the fact is they had their space a couple days ago. I was talking to Cameron and I'm like, okay, cool, this kind of makes sense because I can kind of see the attention. I think they had 400 people in their first spaces and it was quite good. I think that kind of shows you the pull that they can have when it comes down to an initial attention, and I think that'll kind of have a little bit of longevity. So anyway, those are 2 free mints that I'm absolutely pumped on, that I think have great potential in the kind of short-term flip, but then also a little bit longer term because they are teams that have some money or have actually executed in the past. So if you found value in this video, please consider hitting up that subscribe button, and while you're down there, also the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.